Hey guys, that was a dramatic entrance. Every time we play that video, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a little bit more dramatic than I intended.
I love it. It just puts a smile on my face.
It just is loud and proud.
I love it.
But yeah, so hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Ghoul for an Hour podcast. I am your host, your ghost host, Morgan Feza.
And I am all of a ghost, Rachel Faust.
And today we have our fabulous guest, Christina and Franky. Drum roll, please. Welcome.
Hey there.
Thank you. Hi.
We are so happy to have you guys on.
We're so happy to be here.
Yeah,
So tell us,
especially since you told us that we can swear. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
See, emphasis on that we can cuss. We are cuss friendly. No, but yeah, introduce yourselves. Tell our listeners a little bit about each of you.
Sure. I'm Christina. I am one of the co-producers of the Windy City Parafest coming up in Chicago, June 12th through the 15th of this year. And I am here with one of our other co-producers.
I'm Franky. And yeah, I feel like I'm the odd person out in this. I look around in this group, so I'm just going to try and fit in as well as I can.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. So I guess I kind of want to kick it off with, like, we usually just kind of go from the beginning. You know, how did you guys get into the paranormal?
Well, I dragged Franky along. I've always been into spooky things, ghost stories, anything paranormal related from little on. And that time gets longer and longer, obviously. And so really how it started was my best friend and one of our other co-producers. There's actually 4 of us, Kimberly and I. We've been friends since we were 12. We were looking for something different to do, and we jointly applied to be on a paranormal investigation team. It was a great team. They did fundraising for historical locations. We learned so much. In doing that, we dragged our friend Denise along, and I've known Denise for many years as well. She joined the team. Another team member also, we became close with her. We actually ended up breaking off and starting our own team. And then, unfortunately, one of those team members, she had a lot of life things going on, so she left. But shortly before that, I dragged Franky along on an investigation, and the rest was history. He came along, and it just completely fit to have him there. So we decided
to complete you. Is that what you're saying?
Don't get too excited about that. I'll give you a little.
I love it.
I think I complete you is probably more likely.
Oh, it's going to be one of those nights.
Also, yeah, always. So yeah, Franky and I have known each other for probably about 10 years or so, I would say.
And it's been 15.
Oh,
actually 16. That's really scary.
Yeah, it is.
Since we were 10. We were 10 when we met.
Pretty much.
Right? Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. So we met. He's also great friends with my husband. And yeah, we just, honestly, I dragged Franky along because he needed to get out of the house, and I needed to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I was going through some shit.
Yeah,
for real.
But that's what good friends do.
Right.
That's what good friends do. We rip you out of your house, whether you want to leave or not, and we just torment you until you agree to, get some sunshine on your skin.
Yeah, I fully agree with that story. It doesn't make me look great, but I fully agree with it.
In this case, it wasn't sunshine. It was like a dark, dingy, dirty school. That was nicely haunted and just really quaint. It was lovely. So
Listen, I've said it on the podcast before. There's something about asbestos that just does something for the soul, like just it just wakes you up. There's just something about it. I mean, you might grow like a tail or maybe like an 11th
Fine.
toe somewhere down the line, but it's all right. I
it
mean,
brings
all
back
good.
that youthful vigor,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So I have to go ahead.
No, that's actually funny. Like the first, I mean, I was just the short version. I was into all this stuff as a kid, but then, kind of got convinced as I grew up that like, oh, that's kid stuff. And so when I was going through my shit and just trying to find like, kind of going back to what I used to really love, that was when Christina was like, "How about you come ghost hunting with us?" And that first one at that school, it was like, we got a tour from the person that was like, the liaison. And at the end of the tour, we're coming up kind of out of this basement area, and we're all standing on the stairs, and someone behind. It was not just us; there were a few other folks in the group. A person behind me was like just giving me, you know how when someone's behind you and you can just tell that they want to get by,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, the guy's still giving us the rundown. We're all stuck here, no one's moving. So eventually, I turn around to kind of go ahead, and there was nobody there.
Oh my
I was like,
gosh.
oh shit! I guess we're
Oh
in
my
full time, and that was like at 7:00 that night. Like we were just getting started.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That was what my next question was going to be. Is I was going to say like I have to hear about your first investigation, because I feel like that first one is always like I don't know, like Taylor said it I think on our last podcast. She was like, I wish I could go to my very first investigation and just see it again for the first time, because there's just nothing like it. So I always love to ask people's first investigations, what were the most memorable moments? And it sounded like that was one for you.
That definitely was. And then there was another part that night where we were doing Estes method with this other person who'd come with us, and she was hearing like a non-English language, and then she was like, I think we asked like, "Where are you?" And she said Deutschland, and then we realized that like there was a book in the desk where she was sitting, because it was an old school. The book was like an old German hymnal. There's like this. It was like really, really strange stuff, and that was like my first one.
Yeah. What words would you use to describe your first investigation?
Slumber party.
There you go. There you go.
It was like, we're eating junk food and making jokes and, like braiding each other's hair. They're braiding all this hair.
That's when I discovered you like Cheetos. I was like super shocked.
Oh, wait, spicy or regular?
Old school, crunchy. Like if I could find a bag that didn't have Chester on the bag, like that's how far back I go with this.
So that's
I
the
love
disappointment, right? Like I'm like super excited, and then I'm like, yeah, jalapeno Cheetos, right? Like, yeah. No,
I've come to love the
he's
hot
boring.
Cheetos.
Yeah, the hot.
I mean,
Well,
sometimes like they burn your taste buds out of your face, but like it's so good. It's so good.
I mean,
It makes it good.
I'll eat them if there's nothing else wrong, because I'm not a monster. But I mean,
Listen, just hear me out. Hear me out, okay? Do you?
Oh no.
So street corn with hot Cheetos crumbled on top is my like with a little bit of lime on it. That would be my chair food. Like if I was going to the chair, give me a big old tub of that, and I'm good to go. Send me on my way.
But have you had the street corn Cheetos?
I didn't even know they had that.
Oh, yeah, and they're absolutely amazing. So they came out
You're a
and
bad
then they
influence.
disappeared. Yeah, then they disappeared. And I'm like dragging my husband down like every single grocery store or like convenience store aisle, always looking for them. And now they're back and they're phenomenal. So you need to find them because
I need to find them. I hope
they're
Delaware
like your
has
dream.
them. Yeah, because like I literally was like that's my favorite combo. Like I could literally just eat that all day. It's so good. Wait, so what's your favorite junk food? Investigation food, I guess we'll call it.
Ooh, what do I usually bring along? I always have a bag of wintergreen lifesavers. I don't know why,
Oh.
but just it's one of the things that I always grab.
I thought you were going to say
Twizzlers.
vodka.
Well, yes. Twizzlers. Yeah, vodka and clove cigarettes. Quite honestly, that's what it is.
Oh, but honestly though, I mean, like that's a very delicious snack. Like
Yeah.
I'm totally with that.
And we do have a tradition. We like to, so if we are at a location where we are maybe renting like a space, like a home or something where we're kind of popping around to different locations for a few days, we like to have late night cookies. So we will bake cookies when we get back. And then usually they're really not late night. By that point, they're usually like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So it's just the best comfort, like
They're
while you're
twilight
sitting
cookies.
back. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
breakfast.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the breakfast of champions right
Yeah.
there.
right.
Absolutely.
Okay. I like that. I love learning people's like investigation snacks because I feel like when me and Taylor do investigations, there's always some kind of either like a Sheets run or like a Wawa run. And we're just like, I feel like they're like little squirrels. We just like come out of there with our hands full and we're just like munching on something.
Oh,
But that's
Muncho's potato chips, the ones that feel like styrofoam.
yes.
Those are definitely a quick grab.
The taste and the texture. I don't know if we have
Yes.
texture people here, but I'm all about a snack with good texture.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Barbecue Fritos, or not
The little
well, it's
twists.
spirals. Yeah, it's a texture thing. Yes.
See, I knew we were gonna get along.
Oh my
just
gosh,
fine.
right?
This
We
is
can
amazing.
go snack shopping together
Oh my-
before every investigation.
But you got to be careful though with the snacks. I have learned, at least for me, because like I tend to not eat that way throughout my normal life, and then I just go nuts. And then it's like you're trying to listen for EVPs and stuff, and your stomach's like.
That's true too.
Yeah.
You're like,
On all the recordings, it's like that was Frankie. That was also Frankie. That was not a ghost. That was Frankie.
it's my small intestine just falling out of my ass right now. I'm so sorry about that. Oh my gosh. No, yeah, that's so true though. I thought you were gonna say somebody in the corner like munching because I'm always like when like somebody's making, they're filming something, I'm always guilty of like you'll hear me in the background like and they're like, dude. I'm like, I'm hungry, I'm sorry.
I would be the person who would be like, that's totally acceptable for me, but it's not acceptable for you. Just owning that right now.
But I love that though. I love that. At least you recognize that and you're like, hey.
Completely. Yeah.
But yeah, so like what was your most memorable like first investigation moment?
Ooh,
Or two or three?
Probably our interview that Kim and I had for the first team that we were on. We were in their home base location and we were there with other people who were also interviewing, and a young man sitting across the table from me said really quickly, he's like, I just felt something on my stomach. And so quick hands off, hands up, and someone asked for his consent to just pull up his shirt and put a flashlight on it. And we could see slowly a bite mark just appear, like a human bite mark appeared. Now, this was the home base for the team, and it wasn't unusual in this room to, basically have physical contact, but never really that had left marks. So it continued to grow and blossom it was raised by the time we were finished. And that to me was just so incredible. That whole building was just, it's amazing. The communication we've received that's intelligent is incredible. So yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait, that's where we're going next weekend, right?
That's where we're headed.
Oh,
yeah.
Bless up, Frankie. Bless up. May the odds be ever in your favor. Oh man. And I love how that's like your most memorable moment. He said, I could see your face changing. You were like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
We're also sleeping there. So yeah,
Fun.
you'll be fine.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell who's the more unsettled person on the team. I will say, I did feel like a really big badass the first time I took you out because I felt like I was being really brave that night. Sometimes I'm a little, I can get a little spooked, but it's nothing terrible. I always say I'm afraid of like humans being in the space, and I knew we were pretty safe in that location. So I felt really brave, and Frankie was still in those early stages of like, I don't know, I don't know. Like, oh wow, he really thinks I'm a badass right now. So
I love that.
I've always thought you were a badass.
Someone's got to have the confidence.
Yeah.
We're still pending on Rachel's first investigation. So I
haven't
feel like
gone.
she's
Morgan has not taken me anywhere.
we have
Really?
to we've tried
tried.
schedules, but my goal for 2025 is we are going to get Rachel's butt into like I'm
I
probably gonna
told
just
you,
take
I'm
her
down.
like pedal to the
Yeah.
metal, like probably just a really scary place. We're just gonna throw her right in and tell her to
Throw
swim.
me in. Yep.
No better way to christen her. We'll just hey.
It's
So
fine.
where would you like to go and start, Rachel?
I don't know. I'm up for whatever. I'm ready to
You're like haunted gas station bathroom, fine,
Yeah.
I'm there.
do it.
Right.
As long as I'm not the snack of the evening, like that's fine.
Exactly. As long as Rachel doesn't start levitating at
That's
2 o'clock
okay.
in the morning out of her sleeping bag, then I think we're in good hands.
All good.
No promises though. But yeah,
Well-
I'm interested to know, like, when you guys go on investigations, like, what is your favorite method that you're using? Because I know when we had kind of spoken, you guys were trying something new out. But I before we kind of get into that, like, I just want to know, like, when you guys go on investigation, what is like your go-to? Like, hey, I'm pulling this out of the bag, or we're doing this because this gives me like my favorite evidence.
We start like it's something that has slowly organically evolved, but we do try to do a group meditation to start. Just feeling the space, sitting there, picking up anything that we're sensing. And honestly, that is my absolute favorite because we get to connect and most of us are feeling the same thing at the same time. So I love that. I love the connection of it. One of our last investigations, we did that, but then we also took another moment in a separate space in the house that we were in. And we just lightly held our hands over one another's so that we could sense and build the energy there as well.
Oh.
And in that moment, we really gathered a lot of information. So
Mm.
we practiced on sending our energy outwards as a group in a circle and then bringing in information as well. We have bags and bags of equipment, but when it really comes down to it, that connection between the four of us and the ability to really continue to work and feel and sense that together is my absolute favorite. It's something different and magical, and it's really unique to us. It's not something we can prove or show to someone else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you brought that up because I feel like whenever we kind of ask this question, we do get a lot of like equipment responses. And I really loved, like, on one of our first investigations that we did, it really was kind of energy based kind of investigating, as somebody who's a sensitive, and then some of the other people that came in that were sensitive and were very big on picking up, the vibrational kind of magnitude of the environment. A lot of people forget that. I mean, I know that sometimes people can argue that our senses can be kind of biased and there could be some personal, interjections in there, and absolutely. But as somebody who's very big on energy, I love hearing other groups that are doing that because, one, nothing beats chemistry. When you have a team with
Right.
amazing chemistry, it that itself, I think, makes things kind of come alive in the environment. It builds a lot of trust with your environment. So, like, when we did our first investigation, we had a really great group of just strangers. We were all strangers. We didn't really know each other. And working together, we had just amazing chemistry. And the results that we had gotten from that was out of this world. So to hear you kind of talk about what you do with your group and how you guys build off that energy, and that's what kind of influences your night, is just like amazing. And I really, really love that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love it too. It's, got into this thing, you watch the shows and you see the, speak to me and all this kind of thing. And like knowing that that's not the approach that the team, we need to not answer on the team name. We haven't. And this is the best
Yeah.
part. It's twats.
Yes.
It's
I was gonna say
yeah.
I loved it when I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, that is genius.
Yeah, originally it was all women, and they invited me, and I'm very blessed to be allowed into that. But yeah, knowing that wasn't the approach of twats has been like really life affirming for me, because I love the shows, but I'm also like, I'm a believer, but I'm tech skeptical.
Yeah.
I'm fine with all the gadgets. I think they're fun, but then I'm also like, yeah, but you've been able to commune with spirit for thousands of years, so we don't need all that stuff. So I tend to like the really like physical things, whether it's just energy, sensitivity, or whatever, or like I'm interested in experimenting with spirit boards, and we use pendulums, and we that kind of stuff, like more non-tech is the stuff that I really like.
And kind of what you touched on before even is like, it almost, in most cases, just from all the people that we've kind of talked to, your body is always going to pick up on these things before your equipment does. And so I've always been very invested in the like body as your first point of contact, evidence as your effort, like it's affirming kind of what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So it might be a little ass backwards, because I know a lot of people like to, kind of pick up the evidence on the tech and then, see how that coincides with what you're feeling at the same time. But I think like in a lot of even the ghost shows, you see people kind of sweep through, they do a walkthrough, they feel it out, and then they kind of look to use the tech to kind of reaffirm that. And I think that that's a really cool approach, because your body is really like, it's a great tool. I mean, we have a lot of things built into us anatomically by evolution and just nature that people just discount, and they don't realize how much they have inside that they can just be using naturally.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't need evidence. I'm not looking for evidence. I'm looking for an experience.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say the same thing. Our team didn't set out to, yes, we have a fun name, but we really didn't set out because we were looking to prove anything to anyone. We just wanted to get together and have our own experiences. We've all been through things that this brings us comfort, honestly, the comfort of being with one another, the comfort of communicating, the comfort of communicating with people who are physically present, like in this human form, and possibly other things that are different, is just really a great experience. And so in regards to the team, I don't think we really have any need to try and prove anything. We try, of course, to collect evidence and share that, because it is fun to see other teams' evidence. But it's not something that we're like, oh, we have to show you this just to give ourselves, street cred.
Yeah. You're just having fun. You're just enjoying
exactly.
it. And that's a beautiful thing. That really is.
Yeah. And meeting
like,
amazing people. Like, honestly, along the way, the people that we've met have been so fun and so wonderful. It just expands the circle. So we really enjoy that aspect of it as well.
oh, I love that. That makes my heart so happy, because I feel like everybody's in it for a different reason, but it's so nice when it kind of comes back to the friendship and the camaraderie part of just like the community, like sense of community, being able to hang out and share laughs and make memories. And I mean, everybody loves being scared. I think a lot of people, they love Halloween. Like it always kind of goes back to like spooky season, because nothing kind of brings you closer together than when you're absolutely terrified and you're like, clutching your friends in like your tightest grasp. You're walking through haunted houses, dark forest or whatever you're doing. But there's laughter to be had. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. And it sounds like you guys have a great chemistry with your group and you found something really special.
Yeah, I've never laughed so hard. Like,
I love that.
Usually right after having the pants scared off me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about some other experiences that you guys have had on investigations that have kind of, blown your socks off and been like, wow, like this kind of reaffirms my belief systems. And then I'm also going to kind of add a two-parter to that. What is your belief system of the afterlife? Like, what do you guys kind of believe in?
As far as what I believe in, a lot. I mean,
Okay.
I was raised Catholic, very superstitious Irish Catholic family,
Oh,
and very matriarchal.
okay.
But also many of the women in that, it was actually my maternal line, have abilities. They just didn't frame it that way. So it was interesting to me growing up, already feeling and sensing those things, knowing that it was somewhat acceptable, but we didn't really have a name for it.
Okay.
When I was around 12, 13, I discovered witchcraft, and that has been my focus since. I believe in reincarnation, but I also believe in energy. I don't necessarily think that we are reincarnated as completely the same energy every time. So I think that it might be collective portions. I don't know. It's just things I think about. I do believe that the work that we do when we're here is intentional, and I think it's beyond our human comprehension.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I
where
would agree
my
with that.
belief system is. As
Mhm.
far as the most incredible investigations, we have a lot, but one of my favorite moments was when we really started to realize that Frankie potentially had the ability to. I use channeling just because I don't think there's really a better word for it, but that he had the potential to be able to channel energy in a unique way. And so, well, he was really startled, and it was frightening for
I
him.
was gonna say, I'm like, how did he feel about finding that out?
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
I had been part of a circle of people during my teen years who did this in practice, and I didn't find it as frightening. I was really excited. So that was really tough because he was in a situation where he was very startled, and I was in a situation where I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I am so excited about this. We're going to do so much stuff with this. This is so amazing. And he's like, am I going crazy? And I'm like, shh, you're fine. This is so cool.
Everything's
And
okay.
so, yeah, I had to back up for a moment
It's
and be like,
giving Ghost Adventures. Like,
Yeah.
poor Frankie is like, are you Aaron? Are you poor Aaron? I think Christina's like, we're sending Frankie down to the basement, and
I
he's
would
gonna do
no,
an Estes method by himself.
we were in an attic and I was with him, but it was I had to step back because I was so thrilled and excited, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is like, I have to stop. This isn't about my excitement. This is about him finding his comfort.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
terrified. I
Yeah.
was
He
terrified.
really was.
I had
So
like
what
I had a
happened? Do you
I had a
mind like
breakdown.
do you
Like it
mind
literally.
us do you mind talking
Yeah.
about it? Like
Um,
what this
sure.
like kind of transpired? Because I think it's really interesting to kind of talk about how you found out about that gift. And there's a lot of people, the reason I asked this is just there's a lot of people out there who I think, you know, are it's more talked about now, but I feel like people are very scared of that. Like, you know, you were when it initially happened to you, and then they don't talk about it, or they don't have a supportive friend group to kind of say, hey, I'm having this experience. So I feel like you talking about it might be very helpful.
Yeah. What's strange is thinking back, the memory of it is really blurry now because it was two instances in one night at the same house in different parts of the same house. Um, and they were completely different experiences. And the first, and Christina, jump in, and because
Sure.
you were like aware, and you know, you weren't the one doing the SS method. So
Right. We were
um
at Whispers Estate
yeah.
in
Where's that?
Indiana.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And upstairs they have kind of a makeshift psychomantium. So there's like a closet basically with mirrors on all sides and a chair in it.
Mm.
And so our idea was that Christina and I would go up there, and I would put on I always forget what they're called.
I do too.
Okay,
There.
it's
Go
yeah,
ahead.
it's not a spirit box. It's like it plays this frequency in your ears, and there's glasses that like do a red light.
Oh, is it like is it called like Delco goggles or
They were made
oh,
by Bill
wow.
Chappell, and he just made a limited edition of them.
They're like,
And
they kind of looks like
they're like
steampunk goggles, right?
these look like almost like wraparound sunglasses, the
Yeah.
style that he made, but they
Oh,
do
okay.
have the red light. They also emit a frequency, and then that you can plug in your headphones, and they emit like an audible frequency. But
Yeah.
the
Okay.
strange thing is it cancels out your ability to hear your own voice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
You can't
What?
even, not even through bone conduction. It's not, I mean, you like, you speak and you do not hear yourself. It is,
right.
Wow.
it's not
I
like you have
feel
your
like
fingers in your
I
ear.
need to like pick your brain on that because that's something I would love to get my hands on because I feel like I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd love to get our hands on another set because we would like to we oftentimes both go under at the same time. So we would love to have two to be able to
Yeah.
try and use them that way. Um,
Plus, I almost broke them that night.
yeah, he did. He
Because I
did.
was
He
like,
threw
what the
them
fuck? And I
across the
threw them
room,
off.
and I'm like diving for them. Actually, yeah.
No.
um, but we had the rest of the team downstairs. They had written out questions. We timed it so we would start at the same time Frankie would start to go under. And from my point of view, I was just filming him um, and letting him talk to begin with. And I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. So, you know, again, I had these images in my head. I started to doubt, you know, because you're like, oh, I'm making this up or whatever. And I just decided I'm just going to say what I'm seeing. And I was seeing like this very idyllic, you know, like everything was beautiful and the weather was nice and all this kind of thing. And at some point, it just started to feel in my body like I was being lied to, like I was being shown things that to be a distraction while something
Deceiving,
else
yeah.
happened. And so I started to, I don't remember if I mentioned that or if I just, did I mention that?
I
I need to go
believe
back and
you
look at the
did.
video.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the
Yeah.
video. You mentioned it either at the time or
Yeah.
after. Hmm.
And then there, man, I'm forgetting. Is this, oh no. So this was the one where like I thought I was talking but I wasn't.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for like minutes on end, like in my mind, I'm describing all this stuff to Christina that I'm seeing. But if you watch the video, I'm saying nothing. And at one point, like she's talking to the camera, and she's like, "Okay, I think I'm going to take him out," you know. And as soon as she says that, I threw the glasses off my head because I started to feel like something was taking over, and it wanted me to look like over there, you know, pay no attention. And if I was there 1 second longer, that I was going to be, I don't know what. I felt like I was going to be
That's
gone or
very
something.
Yeah.
scary. That's
There
very
was
scary.
Yeah.
about 8 minutes of silence, and I
Yeah.
was occasionally asking a question, but then you can hear me saying, like, I could start to see his face changing. So in this room full of mirrors, I could see that his features were slightly shifting,
Yeah.
whether it was in the mirror or, and of course, they're all reflecting on one another.
That's
And
scary.
I kind of knew what was happening. So I just said, if you have anything else to say, you know, go ahead and say it, but I'm going to take him out of this because I knew he didn't know what was happening. And the fact that he had been silent for so long just seemed unsettling to me, but I hadn't even realized how much time had passed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he just suddenly jumps, and I joke with him all the time that I'm so proud of myself. I didn't move. I held the camera still. I was like,
Yeah.
look at that. I
Yeah. It's
didn't
impressive.
I didn't move. I was like, I was so proud of myself. But then he was excited and intrigued. And our original plan had been then we would return to the group. We would move into another location in the house, and we would do a similar thing and ask similar questions. And so we were all together for that experience. And we had two guests with us. We were staying in Indiana at a rental, and we had gone to several locations during that time. And we brought our friends Colleen and Paula with us. because they wanted to come and have, the full twats experience.
I'm starting to get freaked out again just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the person who was
That's
trying to speak was just not a nice person, um, but has come off, I think, to other people as something a lot scarier.
Yeah.
And he definitely, in the next session, was much more communicative. Frankie was a little bit more prepared. But
Yeah. But
interestingly
then,
enough, yeah, we had other equipment going on at the same time, and it really said nothing but one thing. So I'll let you share the rest of that because it was a very different experience for you.
yeah, it was almost the opposite. Like, went under and we had this guest with us she was the one who's going to ask all the questions. I had no idea where anyone in the room was because they arranged themselves, after I was under. And my lived experience in that moment was that, again, I started getting these images and started getting embarrassed because they were just bonkers. Nothing made any sense. And so I wasn't
okay.
I wasn't saying it in anything. And I was just getting embarrassed. I'm like, this is so dumb. Like, I can't do this. I'm a fraud, whatever it was. And so, eventually I took the things off and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I think I teared up or whatever. I was like, I didn't have anything. Like, I was seeing stuff, but I didn't want to say anything because I was embarrassed and just sounded nuts. And they were all, like, seeing their faces. They were all just like ghosts because they had experienced like a lengthy period where I was talking this time and saying all this stuff about this, what I was seeing. And it turned out it was like a doctor scenario that was likely doing some operations or abortions or something on babies, and I didn't know anything about the house, but it turns out that's part of the lore of the house.
Neither Frankie or I knew
At,
anything about
yeah.
the house. So
At,
Wow.
at one point, and again, I had to watch the video to see this because it was not my experience. At one point, I actually turn really slowly to the person who's asking the question. And remember, I don't know where anyone is at this. And I kind of lean in and I start saying, like, you're not very smart and all this stuff, like, at her. And she got really scared and freaked out and like was hiding behind her clipboard. And like, it was like
Oh my gosh.
almost the exact opposite vibe from earlier. And so when we got back to the place we were
And this is
staying,
the same location.
yeah,
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
a different part of the house. Like, we'd met down in like the bedroom area at this point on the first floor. We got back to the house later after some other experiences and stuff in there, and we're laughing and joking and drinking and having cookies and all this. And I took Christine in the kitchen and I'm about to do it again right now. Like, I just kind of lost it because like I was like, I feel fucking crazy. Like, that's not like, when I saw the video, I'm like, that is not what I experienced.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't ever want to do that again. And of course, the next place we went, I jumped right back in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But
No, don't be sorry. I mean, it's scary, and I feel like for people that don't have those, special abilities or haven't tapped into them yet, they don't understand unless you physically go through it, and it can be really overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming and very scary, especially like if you have something that's trying to deceive you because
Mhm.
I mean, like, you trusted your body, which was really smart. Thank goodness, because I feel like a lot of, like we said earlier, a lot of people, they discredit that gut instinct and that notion of like, hey, like I'm picking something up, and thank
Yeah.
God that kept you safe, but it takes a little while to bounce back from. So I mean, you're
Yeah.
totally justified and valid in the way that you're feeling and how you reacted to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's startling, and yet I remember saying to Frankie, the universe put him in that moment to experience that, surrounded by people who were confident that we could make sure he was safe.
Mhm.
And he made sure he was with safe people without really thinking through the process, right?
Mhm.
And also, I had some experience with this, so it wasn't frightening for me. So I just feel like it unfolded in a really scary for Frankie, but also beautiful way, because now he's become much more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And ultimately the message from spirit that we were getting wasn't truly evil or,
You're right. Right.
intending harm. It was, first of all, a totally different culture at the point in time when this person lived. And with the exception of Frankie, a room full of women in the space that this person worked. And they were doing difficult work as well. And I think, in my opinion, just needed to share. And instead of being vilified, which I think is often the situation in that location, it was more of a reveal in the things that were shown to Frankie and that he communicated with us, that this spirit, this being needed to release that energy and say, hey, wait a minute, like, this is what I did. And yes, it may appear terrifying if you're just seeing little snips of it, or you're just sensing my very dominant masculine personality that is really pushy and probably inappropriate to us now, but also really needed to get a message across. And so I
Yeah.
think it just unfolded in a way that, while we all had, shocking experiences from it, some of us more positive, some of us maybe not quite so positive in the moment, it still was important work for that to be released. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's really the approach that we try to take with it. So we don't, oftentimes Frankie and I will go in not knowing about a space if we can.
Yeah.
And our other two team members, Kimberly and Denise, will do the research and have the knowledge and try not to say anything so that we can just go in and see what we see,
Validate,
feel what
man.
we feel.
Validate.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Was
that's
that
amazing.
was that the one where in the video I say that was Frankie?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't even pick up on that. It was your husband that did that watching the video. Like, you know how when you watch people in the Estes or whatever, a lot of times they'll go, "This is me," when they're actually speaking. Like in that one, actually said that was Frankie.
Yes. And once we went back, because I had him sit and watch it, because I'm like, tell me, I had my own tell me I'm not crazy moment where I'm looking at his face distorting, and he caught it and said, do you realize that his voice was different? And then he said to you, that was Frankie in the other voice. But it was
That's
very
really
subtle.
spooky.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it, like you said, scary as it is, very cool, because channeling is like, I don't know. I've watched a couple of videos of people channeling, and I haven't seen any like facial distortion, but the voice changing, like that would, like, I don't know. I've never experienced it firsthand, so I can't imagine like
Yeah.
investigating. And I don't know, like, I'm kind of speechless, because I'm like, that had to have been so like jaw dropping.
Yeah, I have experienced facial changing before, and I will say that it is important you have low lighting when you're practicing channeling if you're witnessing it, because for some reason of course our vision isn't as great, but it also softens your vision a little bit, and it allows you to see more subtle changes.
Okay. That's really cool, though. I'm really sorry, Frankie, because I'm like, it's really
See?
cool. Like, this is the stuff that really does, it interests me, because everybody, like I said, in the paranormal is just such a vast, it's just, there's so many different experiences.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, truly every human being is gifted in some shape or form. Some may not have found it, some may not want to open that door, and then some, unfortunately, Frankie, they don't really get a choice, and it kind of just says, hey, we've given you long enough and we're kicking in the door now. So we're, but the one thing I did want to ask you, because again, just kind of looking for some common denominators in some of the stories that we've heard, when people do kind of find their gift and they do start to kind of, attune it, and it's just like any kind of instrument, you do have to kind of practice it and find your sweet spot and really control it, because if you don't, it will walk you like a dog. Like, that's just from my own experience. If you don't get a leash on it, it is going to take you for a ride. Have you started to notice it kind of coming more fluidly, and is it happening more? Is it something that you've maybe kind of halted a little bit? Like, what was your reaction after this whole experience to finding this out, and how have you decided to kind of move forward with it?
All right. Well, I've known you for now 48 minutes, so I'm going to get really vulnerable with you. I've started to become aware of moments when I think it might be happening that I would have called it something else in the past, like whether it's an intrusive thought or what was that? I was just thinking, why was I thinking that?
Yeah.
So just sort of clocking it. But also, since I live alone and I only see the rest of the team like maybe once a month. Usually it's a couple of months before work, because they're in Wisconsin. I'm in Chicago. I really honestly been trying not to really explore it unless I'm with them. And so I've found that I'm like kind of numbing with a lot of noise. Like now I'm going to sleep with the TV on or whatever, just because like I don't want to confront it. I mean,
Yeah.
I do ritual and I do magic once a week at least. And so in those moments when I'm in my controlled space and all of that, like I'm a little more open to it. I will say, we were mentioning this on another pod last week, that like this spirit or personality or something, whatever you want to call her, that I've become very friendly with since last fall. She kind of broke that boundary and showed up and to be like, hey, I'm here. Let's joke around. But I will let her. Yeah.
Always crossing boundaries.
Yeah. She's super fun, so I'll allow it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
And
little.
I can't help but wonder if maybe in some sort of sweet way that she might kind of be here to help guide you and ease you into it. Because I have found in my own personal experiences, I call them my breakthrough spirits, because they're the ones that are like, hey, we're not taking no for an answer. Let's talk, sis. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, a little spicy, but okay. And a lot of the times I've found them to be the most helpful, because they are just, I don't know. Some people have said that they're possibly a guide. I haven't gotten the guide feel, because like I know my guides and they're pretty like in my face and like, hey, but I do feel like in a sort of way they're kind of like a spiritual guide and like a buffer. Like they kind of help to keep some of that negativity, maybe heavier stuff out and allow you to grow. So I wonder if maybe that's who she can be for you. And I think that would be a really beautiful thing.
I just had an epiphany or something while you were saying that. A couple of years ago, I was telling my therapist, because he was like, you need to write your dreams down and all that stuff. And so we did it for a while, and we realized that I have one dream. It's all kinds of variations, but it's one thing. I dream of nothing else, but I can't do that thing. Whether it's I can't unlock my phone, or I can't rescue my best friend from a burning building, or what. I mean, there is a range, but it's just that there is a thing and I can't do it. And so we were explaining that in therapy, like, do you have, imposter syndrome, whatever. And I strangely, and I know this is a privileged comment, but I have like kind of the opposite of imposter syndrome. I'm like, I'm amazing. Why doesn't everybody else think so?
I love that.
So like it wasn't that. And I've not known what it has been. And now I'm realizing, as you said that, like, it's probably Faith, this person who has like been trying to talk to me this whole time, because she literally cut her own life short in 1956. Like she jumped off a building in Chicago, and she does, her message for me is always, don't take yourself so seriously. And I think there's something, I just realized there's a tie there. Like, the thing that she was trying to do, which was life, was cut short, and so she wasn't able to do it, whatever that was. There's got to be a connection there.
Absolutely. I do think like people always tend to say, I've heard this comment a lot, you know, we treat the spirits in the afterlife just like we would treat a real person standing in front of us, right?
Mhm.
And I've always had this theory of if they can't, you know, if they once were and they were here and you know they had their purpose and they were, you know, they had loved ones and they had dreams and aspirations, and why would that change? Oh my goodness, why would that change in the afterlife?
Right.
And you know, if they're there and they're, you know, what makes you think that they can't help us to grow and help us to reach maybe the things like you said that they couldn't in life? And maybe that's part of, you know, kind of going back to reincarnation and some of these deeper thoughts, you know, maybe that's part of their job in the afterlife, is to help the people maybe that are stuck in a certain aspect of life here to get to where they need to be. And I feel this way because some of the spirits that I have connected with in my own life have shown me parts of me that needed healing, or parts of me that needed growing, or parts of me that were afraid. You know, they said, "Hey, like we're here so that you don't have to be afraid. We're
Mhm.
here so that you can grow to your potential." And so I'm, you know, they're just like in the real world. There's bad eggs, there's good eggs, and there's kind of like, we're just kind of here and we don't really have interest in kind of fussing with you. But I mean, I truly think that maybe she's going to be the very, you know, catalyst that kind of helps you grow into who you need to be, and this special gift that you have. Because I can truly say the gifts that we have, we are weird and quirky and everything in between, and we don't ask for these things,
Yeah.
but there's a reason that they're in our life. And
Mhm.
so I think that it's going to end up being a beautiful thing for you. It's just about finding that sweet spot.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And you're so right, Morgan, because she really has been the catalyst to push Frankie to do some of the things that he's working on and moving forward with. So she
I love
really
that.
is you hit that right on the head there. It's perfect. It's so true. She is hilarious.
I love that. I love a good sense of humor.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like she was a burlesque dancer in the 30s and 40s,
Oh.
which is that's my other life. I produce burlesque shows. So I've
Oh.
known about her for years. There's a book about her. Like all this stuff I've known. Didn't realize until one of my cast members was like, I moved into this apartment, and she's like, "Oh, you live over by where Faith Bacon is buried?" And I'm like, "At Graceland," because that's like this beautiful cemetery that I'm at like all the time. I was there yesterday while it snowed. And she's like, "No, at Wunder, right across the street." And it's this tiny little unkempt, like I think Graceland is like, I don't know, it's got 10 miles of roads in it. I mean, it's huge. And then
Oh.
across the street is this tiny little sliver of an old German cemetery where I had to go find her grave. It was this whole long story, but yeah, obviously I moved into this apartment so I could be close to where Faith is. And didn't have a connection to her at the time, but I do now.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I like love the burlesque thing. Like I am like Dita Von Teese is like my ultimate like girl crush. I am like a I don't know. And then when I know this is probably like super silly, but burlesque, like when Christina Aguilera came, like that whole movie came out. When I tell you, me and I call her my little minion, my daughter, me and her, like she had this little recital outfit. And I was like, girl, if I was just like 85 pounds lighter, I would buy a recital outfit too. And me and you could shake it on the coffee table because I love burlesque. I love it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we were like watching the movie and I'm like, get it, girl. I'm like, shake it. I'm like, oh, but yeah, no, I really love that. And I love that that's like your, you know, we'll call her maybe your spirit guide for now. You know, she's kind
Yeah.
of helping you through this. But I mean, what a cool gal. I am
Yeah.
so here for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. She's pretty great. And we're doing a burlesque show at the festival. That's the opening night. It's our big welcome party.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the giant, glorious, burlesque elephant in the room. I mean, Talk to me about it. How did this come to be? What made you kind of pull the trigger on this and put this into action?
Frankie is spontaneous, and if I don't answer him quickly enough, he just starts making plans.
I
love
love that.
We all know somebody like that.
That's how it started.
We love friends that take initiative, okay? We love that.
It's a love-hate thing. No, I'm kidding. No, we really started talking about, I think I dragged you along to a couple of paranormal conferences and
Yeah.
such, and we just started talking about the fact that it was not as diverse of a world as the burlesque world or other different little subcultures that are important to people.
Yeah.
And we really started to realize that there were a lot of unrepresented voices out there, especially because Twats started as an all-female team. And it was very interesting when we did that and came out with that as a highlight just for fun, how quickly we started to notice other female teams starting being like, yeah, we should do that. When Kimberly and I went to our first Paracon, we noticed it was literally a sea of just middle-aged white men, quite honestly.
It was a
Yeah,
sausage
yeah.
fest, ladies
It really,
and
really
gentlemen.
was. Yeah. And so,
And
and we
bad
noticed,
sausage at that.
yeah, not good.
Not the
And
good kind.
I mean, we weren't shopping, but we were still amongst the aisle. So, you know, we couldn't help but notice. And it it really stemmed from that. We started talking about it, and Frankie just jumped into it and then thought he was going to do it in like 3 months. And I was like, no, 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 no. Wait, slow down.
Like, yes, we can do this. We just need a little bit more time.
Yes. Yeah. So our focus going in really was to highlight these underrepresented voices and give people an opportunity. There's so many amazing people out there who weren't being given the opportunity to be a part of these different gatherings. And we went in with that as a concept and also had our little list of favorites, people who we've really enjoyed spending time with or
Yeah.
listening to them or who just make us laugh. And we just went in with that thought and wanted to make sure that it was an event that was still rather intimate and that didn't start too early, because that was always our complaint. And where we could do other things and incorporate, like, for example, opening night, our the burlesque event, and
Burlesque, I like that.
yeah, and a haunted 80s prom.
My gosh.
And we wanted to make sure that it was something that would celebrate the culture of all of us getting to know one another. So we have a bar that will be open later. That's always the best part anyways, is just hanging out
Oh, hell
afterwards and
yeah.
talking with everyone. And we really also wanted to make sure that we were taking care of our presenters and the people who were coming to share with us. We came up with a theme, and this year's theme is storytelling. So we will have multiple storytelling panels of, I believe it's 3 to 4, when we were putting together the schedule, 3 to 4 presenters on stage at the same time. People, many of them who have never worked with one another, which is really exciting. And we just want to foster that sense of community and bring some diversity to it, because that is really ultimately how you grow. You grow in knowledge, grow in experience, grow in joy and fun and laughter and getting to know more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's, we're intentionally calling it a fest, not a con.
Correct.
There's nothing against cons, but we want this to be like a good time. And
Yeah.
we were finding that the best times we were having at different cons was, late night after everything was done and hanging out at the bar. Like, sure, I love watching John Tenney give a lecture, but I much prefer him at 4 a.m, after a couple of vodkas.
Truly some of the best experiences when it comes to the paranormal community.
Yeah. Like I met Heather Taddy at like 2 a.m. after or whatever, like in that was so interesting. Yes, I love learning about, like, let's have a lecture and let's learn about, you know, the Fey folk of Ireland, or absolutely. But really, there are places to do that, and this one is more about those stories and getting to know each other and being very social and hanging out. So that's our goal.
I love that. I love that because I do feel like it kind of ties into the what is the word I'm looking for? Gosh, I'm having a brain fart. Like the theme, I guess I'll say theme, kind of like it matches the environment that you've cultivated with your investigative team, and you're kind of bringing that to a larger scale and trying to incorporate that now amongst the paranormal, you know. And I think that that's really cool because sometimes there are, you know, and again, this is no shade, this is just from experience, there are some cons where I do feel like it's missing that je ne sais quoi of like just camaraderie and getting to like I said, shoot the shit. Like I just want to, I would love to throw, you know, a couple drinks back and get to meet other fellow paranormal lovers, and, you know, and even people who are there for cryptids, or I don't give a shit what you do. Like, let's just hang out. Let's have a good time. Let's get spooky and freaky or whatever you're into and have a ball, you know, like, and I feel like sometimes that's missing. Like, I do feel like, you know, you go there and it does kind of seem like people kind of go in clusters and kind of stick to what they're comfortable and familiar with. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the beauty that I have come to love about the paranormal is the just all around, like I've just made friends from strangers, and there's always this acceptance factor of like, hey, you're really fucking weird and I love that. Like, let's be weird together. And so that's kind of our slogan here. Like, I'm like, so the weirder the better. And so I love that you guys are bringing that to, you know, a very large scale, and I'm really excited. I was telling Franky that like John and Jess like are just like the coolest. And so when I saw that they were, you know, coming to Windy City, I was like, that's really cool. And, you know, I just think it's going to be a ball. And I'm having like major FOMO. I'm like, I really hope that.
What I just heard you say is that yeah, I think you're going to cancel that wedding is what you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're just
that's what I heard.
There'll be another wedding.
You guys
There'll be another
bad
one.
influences.
Bad
influences.
Statistically, they'll have another one.
I cannot. Oh my gosh.
And that's probably going to be
speaking from experience, probably.
And that's the thing. You can just say, look, I'd love to be at this one, but I know your next one's going to be even better, and that person will be more right.
We're gonna have a ball with the next one.
Yeah.
No, but you guys, like, seriously, like I'm just like following the post, and I'm like, there's so much. I love the color theme, and I love how it has, you know, that very like the reds and the blacks, and like that it gives off a burlesque vibe, like that very like regal, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So I'm just so excited for you guys, and I think it's going to be an absolute smash.
It is.
It's going to be amazing.
I'm going to claim that right now. It is.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I hope that doesn't sound arrogant. It just sounds like that's what
no,
I want.
it's confident.
Yeah,
and you're manifesting that. You're believing in what you're doing, and that's important. I mean, if you're hosting this whole thing and you're like, well, it might be, I'd be like, what are you hosting it for then? What are you doing? You know, so
well, I do wake up sometimes like 4:30 in the morning and start texting Christina like, it's gonna fail, and she's like, stop it, knock it off.
No.
It's really easy for me to be like, knock it off, you know, because that's just, Franky has been the big risk taker in this. So yeah. But
it's scary. It's scary, but
yeah, absolutely.
You guys have cultivated something really cool here, and I don't have a doubt in my body, my bones, whatever, that you guys are going to absolutely knock this out of the park. And I can't wait to see the videos, the pictures, and I'm going to be harassing you via email. Like, I'm going to be like, how did it go? How was everything?
And then you're going to be there in 2026, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Perfect.
Here's the thing, and we haven't really made this very public yet, but we are doing live stream tickets. That was the thing that we were kind of avoiding for a while, because we'd love to see people in real life. That's the whole point. We want to, like, you know, hold each other in that space. And we also realize that there are people who aren't able-bodied enough to make it, people who don't want to come to the US right now, which I don't blame you. Or maybe don't, any number of things. Maybe they have a wedding and they're not going to be able to be there, but they can watch it later. So we are doing, so we have live stream tickets, and you guys have a special code for your listeners. It's Ghoul Friend, and anyone that uses that gets $5 off, and a portion of those proceeds as well go to greaterthanhate.org, which is my favorite charity, because they are doing Goddess's work right now.
Mhm. Yes, they are.
It's going to a good cause, 100%.
Yeah.
And thank
And
you
it's-
guys so much for doing that, because like that, I'm definitely want, if we have any listeners that can't make it, such as somebody that has a wedding to go to, being able to still enjoy in the greatness that is going to be Windy City Paranormal Fest.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. And I just want to say it's totally appropriate during dinner to live stream. But, probably not during the ceremony.
Listen, as long as I just turn it down a little bit, or I can put a little AirPod in, and I'll be like, if my husband can do it for football and NASCAR, Lord knows that I can sit there and I can pull out my phone and enjoy in some spookiness.
And my
Totally
apologies to whoever it is in your life that is getting married. I do actually wish them the best.
We love you a lot.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, no, it's gonna be a great time. I can't say that enough. Like I'm just so excited because I know how, like I said, scary it is, but liberating it is, and it's really, really daunting to put on an event, but just taking that step and doing it and executing it, like, major kudos, because people don't see the love, sweat, and tears that go into these things. And
It's true.
and there's only 4 of us doing this. So behind
good
the scenes,
Lord,
it's just the 4 of us. Yeah.
Well, thank God for alcohol.
Thank
God for alcohol.
Yeah.
But we have absolutely loved having you guys on here, and you guys are always welcome to come on back, and if you guys want to talk some more, or even just if you want to do like a live and just do a spooky talk and just open up question and answers for peeps, like, let's get it going again. Let's always do part 2 to 6, whatever you guys are feeling like. But yeah, I can't wait to see how you guys grow into your gift, Franky. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that transpires for you, because I do truly believe it's going to be a beautiful thing, and I can't wait to see the way that you guys grow in your investigations and all the cool places it takes you and all the memories you're going to make. So I don't have a glass of alcohol right now, but I'm going to lift my virtual glass to you guys and say cheers.
Thank you.
Chin chin. I am very, very just elated. So lots of love, and I can't thank you enough for coming on here today and hanging out with us.
Thank you both so much.
Yeah, it's been our pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, I'm gonna just look forward to my name popping up in your email, because I'm gonna be like, how's it going? How'd everything turn out? Send me pictures.
Perfect.
I'm going to find Mexican street corn Cheetos for you. So
I gotta track it down, because I can't believe that I didn't know that was a thing. How I miss that, when it's like literally my main food group in my food pyramid.
If you private message me, I will tell you what store I tend to find them at most frequently.
Yeah. Let's do that.
All right.
Yeah, I was like, we gotta gatekeep that, because people be putting stuff on TikTok, and then I'm out. I'm SOL.
Yeah. I don't want to give any major store any sort of props. So whatever.
unless they want to sponsor the fest, then we'll.
Right. Yes. Then absolutely.
Then
Talking to you, Costco.
You're gonna have a whole street corn Cheeto stand. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys so much. We cannot wait to do this again. And again, wishing you all the best of luck on this event, because it's going to be amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You guys have a great night.